What a headshot! What a head!
How's it guys, this is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'm going to take you guys through my very own team selection for the upcoming Game Week 10. So the Game Week 10 deadline is fastly approaching Saturday afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you guys are around the world. And make sure that you guys check me out on my deadline stream 1 hour before the deadline on Saturday. So hopefully I do see you guys there, but in terms of this team selection, I'm going to be going through the Game Week 9 review. I did update you guys in my transfer plan about how the team was getting on, but then Madison goes and gets an absolute haul. So I'll give you guys the most up-to-date rank as possible before talking about my transfer plan with 1 free transfer and 1.5 million in the bank. We're then going to take a look finally at my team selection going into the upcoming Game Week 10. The captaincy is probably going to stay on Haaland, but the rest of the team is where the differentials might come in handy. So that's something you guys are interested in? Sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So going over a quick Game Week 9 review, I know we went over it quite in depth in the transfer plan, so I'm going to run through it quite quickly and give you guys the talking points on the Leicester assets. So first of all, thanks to Madison, we managed to get 92 points at the end of the day and a Game Week rank of within the top 1 million. So that was a nice little green arrow there up until the 630k mark, so that rank looks a lot more respectable than the top 1 million. But let me know how you guys got on in Game Week 9. I've seen some massive scores out there, 120 points, that sort of thing. If you guys also had Bowen, massive Game Week for you guys, so let me know what the rank rise was as well as the total points. Now starting off on our bench, and the only thing that we have to talk about is going to be Neco Williams with a -1 point, but the bigger talking point is Danny Ward with 8 points. So honestly guys, I can't really explain how Danny Ward kept a clean sheet. I think the Nottingham Forest chances were better than the Leicester chances, and Leicester scored 4 goals. But I guess that's credit to Danny Ward, got the save point and the extra bonus point with Harvey Barnes getting a tackle in the last minute. So if you guys managed to start him, congratulations. We had a little bit of a debate there, but honestly I probably was going to start Pope in most scenarios. But I guess the first clean sheet for Leicester's come about. Will they keep any more from now till Game Week 16, maybe Game Week 10? Are we going to start Danny Ward or Nick Pope? Just wait and see in that team selection coming up later. Other than that, already spoke about Kurt Zuma on the bench. Could have actually just benched the injured Isaac, but was comfortable with the move I made. So going on to that starting 11, already spoke about Nick Pope, only got 2 points, so quite disappointed with the difference between Danny Ward and Nick Pope, as I would have seen us get a lot closer to that 100 point mark. Then in terms of the rest of the defense, nothing much has changed here. Cancelo got 1 point, James 2 points, and then Trippier with 7. Now I will add to this that I've watched the Champions League last night and on Tuesday night, and Cancelo getting an assist but not the clean sheet as he was subbed off quite early, but Reece James getting a goal, assist, and a clean sheet just put some salt in the wounds because these two haven't been performing that well. Thankfully though, Trippier with 7 points, he came off after Newcastle lost the clean sheet, then he also bagged 1 bonus point. Then go on to our midfield department, De Bruyne, Martelli and Saka already spoke about, but then go on to Madison, who definitely was the star performer of our midfield, managed to get so many attacking returns against Nottingham Forest, and just showed what good form he is currently in. So he was ticking along nicely over the opening couple of game weeks, but the haul was out there, but now that it's come in Game Week 9, hopefully you can get it in Game Week 10 and Game Week 11 as well. Now I did mention this over on Twitter and on my transfer plan that his ownership or effective ownership around my rank and even within the top 1 million is quite low, and therefore if you guys haven't got him in, you guys can still jump on the fixture for the upcoming Game Week 10. Then moving on to our forward department, no comments there. Haaland managed to get us a haul. Mitrovic got 0 points and got injured. Then finally our transfer in Solanke couldn't score in his fixture. But overall, was super happy with this kind of rank rise. I think where I would have liked to have been in the opening 10 game weeks would have been the top 500k. So therefore we have some work to do, but I'm confident in the current team selection. But as I mentioned earlier on, let me know how you guys got on and what's the team looking like for Game Week 10. But we're now going to talk about the transfer plan before we talk about the Game Week 10 team selection because the transfers for me are pretty kind of out there. The first one's going to be Mitrovic. Unfortunately, Mitrovic managed to pick up a knock over the international break. He exerted it over this kind of Game Week 9 fixture and actually came off early. So I would say if Mitrovic is going to be out for maybe 2 or more games, I'll probably be forced to take him out just to strengthen my overall starting 11. But as mentioned, looking at the fixtures, don't really mind if he does miss 1 game. If he's going to be out for the West Ham away game, I'm perfectly fine with that. Can have some bench coverage for him. But I'd really like him to be back for Game Week 11 against Bournemouth at home. But unfortunately, I'm recording this on Thursday, so there might be some press conference news coming up on Friday. But I'll talk about that all in the deadline stream on Saturday afternoon. So let's just say that Mitrovic will be out for 2 game weeks or more. What are the replacements to kind of look at? Well, unfortunately, there's not actually too many if you kind of discount Tony. I don't really like the Brentford fixtures coming up, so I've taken him out of the equation. But let's go on to the kind of ultimate guide answer of who to replace Mitrovic with. So the first option is going to be more of a punt here, but I will kind of disclose that all 3 of these options that I have selected are more punt moves because it's not really a more consistent option except for maybe Ivan Toney. So the first option I'm going to highlight is going to be Ollie Watkins from Aston Villa. I know absolutely mental. Aston Villa in terrible form at the moment. Ollie Watkins can't score, but the fixtures upcoming for Aston Villa are pretty decent. We spoke about this in the Ultimate Guide yesterday that the Aston Villa fixtures look proper, and therefore you just have to hope that Stevie G gets them playing better. But you guys can just see in the next three, they face Nottingham Forest and Fulham, the two worst defenses in the Prem at the moment. So surely Ollie Watkins, if he does start, will hopefully score against them. But I guess that's where the kind of caveat comes in. Is Ollie Watkins actually going to play 90 minutes in both games? Yes, he has over these prior game weeks, but with them not playing at the best of form, we might see Danny Ings replace him. So he definitely is going to be a punt to go for, but I do think with those fixtures, a punt worth it. But I can understand if you have some reservations about Aston Villa. The next option, although I do own Solanke, you guys might not, and I would recommend him as a potential replacement. We spoke about this endlessly last game week. You're not looking at him as the reincarnation of Ronaldo, you're simply looking at him as a 5.7 option that's pretty cheap and is going to play 90 minutes most game weeks. Is a talisman for Bournemouth, but that doesn't matter because they don't score anyway, so talisman is going to get 2 points probably most game weeks. But the chance that he does get a penalty could be on the cards, as we saw on the weekend. Now the fixtures upcoming for Bournemouth are simply outstanding, and that's why I do recommend him as an option for Mitrovic. Now the final option to go for is also going to be a punt. It's going to be Daka from Leicester. Now I'm recommending Daka because he was actually benched in game week 9. Vardy started the game but came off around the 60-minute mark, which tells me that his fitness is not up to scratch. So Daka comes on, scores in the first few touches that he managed to get, and that's why I do think he's the favoured forward out of that Leicester side. So in terms of price point, 5.7 million, also super cheap. Fixtures upcoming are super nice. I do expect him to actually start against Bournemouth, considering that he scored and Vardy didn't. Now the only disadvantage I do think that Daka holds is that he's not as nailed as I would like. And as you guys know, with the upcoming game week 12 blank of Man City and Arsenal, I really do need nailed starters. So that's why for me, if it's between Solanke and Daka, I would go Solanke because he is nailed, whereas Daka, yes, he has the fixtures, has that kind of higher ceiling, but I don't expect him to play every game with Vardy and Iheanacho in the wings. But for my own team, if I'm going to take Mitrovic out, I probably will go for Daka. If Mitrovic will miss more than 2 games, Daka's a perfect replacement. I don't really mind because I do already own Solanke. I don't mind the kind of punt and irregularity of Daka's minutes because I hope you have some bench coverage if he doesn't play. But let me know in the comments down below, who's your Mitrovic replacement? He might actually be back for the upcoming game week 10, so just ignore this talking point if the Fulham manager says he's back. But without the information in front of us, I have to kind of make some speculations. But now let's go into a transfer that, let's just say that Mitrovic is going to be back for maybe game week 10, game week 11, that sort of thing. There's a transfer that I'd penciled in since my game week 8 wildcard. Now if you guys have watched this channel for quite a few game weeks, you know exactly what move I'm talking about. It's going to be taking Saka out for Wilfried Zaha. So in terms of fixtures, it's a simple no-brainer here. Saka has some tough games, a blanking game week 12. Just look at those Crystal Palace fixtures upcoming. Leeds at home, Leicester away, Wolves at home. And up until game week 16, the Palace fixtures look simply outstanding. But now let's go a little bit more granular. When you look at Arsenal, a team that's attacking super well. The Liverpool fixture, Liverpool are defending tragically at the moment. They then have Leeds away, which I guess is kind of similar to Zaha's game week 10 fixture. And then come game week 12, we can always make this move. So I asked this over on Twitter yesterday, would you guys take Saka out for Zaha? Do you think it's actually worth it, or should I actually just keep Saka, bank the transfer, if Mitrovic isn't going to be out? I think on paper this move looks pretty strong. I think the fixtures are great for Crystal Palace, but as I mentioned, the previous points about Arsenal's attack, Liverpool's defense looking pretty bad. I think you have to back Saka to actually do well. Now I also want to say that I could actually go for Jared Bowen if I don't want to go for Wilfried Zaha. Also included this in the tweet I released yesterday, but Bowen has some nice fixtures coming up. Yes, he hasn't really done that much except for game week 9, but maybe he can continue this form from that game week 9 haul. But in terms of my own team, I do think Wilfried Zaha kind of edges it over Bowen. I think that he's slightly more of a talisman, and that's what I'd probably go from if I do replace Saka. But let me know what you think about this move. As I mentioned, if you guys commented or just voted in the Twitter poll yesterday, drop it in the comments down below what your expectations are for Saka and Wilfried Zaha. But now let's go on to the actual team selection, and what I will say is that let's just assume that Mitrovic will be back for game week 10, game week 11, so on and so forth. Let's just say I don't take him out and I actually replace Saka with Wilfried Zaha. So that would therefore result in 0 free transfers, as I already have used 1 free transfer of that Saka to Zaha move, and that'll leave you with 2.0 million in the bank. Now in terms of our bench, there has been a little bit of a benching headache here, but I am relying on Kurt Zuma as my kind of bench coverage for Mitrovic if he's going to be out. So I'm 100% fine actually starting Kurt Zuma over Mitrovic. If Mitrovic is out, I think that Fulham attack is going to downgrade quite badly. So let's hope that Zuma, if he does play, gets us a clean sheet, as I do think he can with that West Ham defense looking pretty strong. We then have Neco Williams, a little surprised they're getting subbed off at halftime. Don't exactly know what's going to happen with his kind of place in the team, but I wouldn't start him anyways. We then have Andreas Pereira against West Ham away, tough game on paper, and if Mitrovic is going to be out, he's definitely going to be on my bench. But there is one bench position that I'm a little bit uncertain of. It's a little bit of a 50-50 here, and I'm going to talk about Nick Pope as well. So let's bring Nick Pope back into our starting 11, and there's a little bit of debate for me between which goalkeeper to actually start. So in terms of fixture, definitely Danny Ward has the better fixture. Bournemouth's attack, as we saw in the Ultimate Guide, is simply terrible, and therefore the chance of a Leicester clean sheet is pretty high. We then have Nick Pope with Brentford at home, definitely the tougher game on paper, but I do trust the Newcastle defense slightly more. Now what this decision might actually come down to is who I own from the relative attack. You guys know I own Solanke, so therefore I'm hoping that he scores against Danny Ward, and I don't own Ivan Toney, so hope that he blanks. So for now, I'm starting Nick Pope because I do have a double up. As you guys know, I already own Trippier. So I'm kind of banking the Newcastle clean sheet, but I do think that Danny Ward is a perfectly viable option if you guys want to go for it. So we spoke about Nick Pope. Let's go on to the rest of the defense. We're going to start off with Cancelo, who was actually subbed before the 60-minute mark in last night's game against Copenhagen. So super confident that he will play with Kyle Walker out. He's going to be out for a long amount of time. Cancelo's basically nailed to start in that team. Now on paper, that Southampton fixture for me looks simply outstanding. It's almost a banked clean sheet. Touch wood that they actually do keep a clean sheet. But it was nice to see that Cancelo actually got an assist last night in that Champions League game. So really I'm counting on Cancelo to boost up that attacking threat because this Premier League season, it hasn't been too strong. Fortunately though, we do own Trippier, who has massive attacking threat over these past couple game weeks. Basically the best defender from an attacking point of view. Now Brentford at home, like Nick Pope, is a super tough game, but I do trust Newcastle's defense. And I mean, Brentford didn't score against Bournemouth last week, so let's hope they don't score against Newcastle as well. Then the final option is going to be Reece James. We already mentioned it, got a goal, an assist, and a clean sheet last night against AC Milan, so let's hope that he can do it against Wolves. But knowing my luck here, he's going to concede to Wolves and get a yellow card. But in terms of our back three, the fixtures look simply outstanding. All of them have attacking threat, defensive threat, so let's hope for some massive hauls. Then moving on to midfield department, Kevin De Bruyne was rested last night against Copenhagen. They did also score, I think, 5 goals, so not the best kind of sight on Kevin De Bruyne, but he's still integral to that Man City team, so definitely will play on the weekend. Now Southampton have actually been defending pretty well, but I think no team can defend against Man City like we saw last week against United. They simply are outrageous, and therefore let's hope that De Bruyne gets a haul. Then moving on to Maddison, easy start here after him getting so many points. Bournemouth away, super good fixture on paper, and that's why I'm hoping for another haul from James Maddison. We had a Martinelli against that suspect Liverpool defense, although they did keep a clean sheet against Rangers in the midweek. I think that Arsenal are a much better attack, and therefore I think Martinelli on that side against Trent could do some damage. But for me, everyone kind of owns him, so not too much a risk there, not too many points gained if he does actually do well, but still want him in my team. Then finally, that transfer that I mentioned, this could also be Saka. Just remember, I haven't locked in this transfer. I will announce it over on Discord if I do make the move. But the likely move for this week, if Mitrovic is fine, is going to be ZAHA in for Saka. So ZAHA kicks off his debut in our team with a lovely fixture against Leeds at home. Leeds have actually been defending pretty well, but you would have seen in the Ultimate Guide, have crept into the bottom kind of XG conceded. Thanks for the red card in Game Week 9 for Sinistera. So I'm expecting Crystal Palace to do quite well from an attacking point of view, and it's nice to see a home fixture as well. Now the final department to talk about is going to be our forwards. The most predictable option is going to be Erling Haaland. I've already put the Campsey on him because there's no questions of Campsey this week. It's going to be Erling Haaland unless we do get injury news. So in terms of the fixture, I'm not even going to talk about the fixture because he's the most fixture-proof option in the current game. Therefore, it doesn't matter who he's going to play. As long as he's going to start, I'm going to captain him. Now, I do know that you might be a little bit frustrated with Erling Haaland. I mentioned this over the Ultimate Guide and the transfer plan, that if you are a little bit annoyed about perma-captaining Haaland, don't really look at it like that. Look at it as an opportunity, because come game week 11, 13, and so on and so forth, we might actually get some nice differential points by going against the Haaland captain. But this week, we're not going to be doing that. Off a massive haul in the Champions League and the Premier League in Game Week 9. He's super confident, and I'm expecting a haul against Southampton. Then Mitrovic, nothing much to say about him unless he is going to be out or fit. If he's out, not the end of the world, can simply just play Kurt Zouma, but if he is back, probably will just play him and just hope that he scores. But there might be a little bit of a debate there if he is actually going to be back, because Kurt Zouma and Mitrovic could be a little bit of a debate, but hopefully there's not too much points difference between them. Then the final option is going to be Solanke against Leicester. Now, as I mentioned, Nottingham Forest had so many chances to score against Danny Ward, and I do think Solanke might be a better finisher than those options. So let's just hope that Solanke finally repays us for this faith in our team, but at his cheap price point, not the end of the world if he actually blanks. But I really think there's a massive chance here of actually Solanke scoring, because Leicester's defense is pretty bad. So as you guys can see, if I do go for the Saka to ZAHA move, this is how the team will be setting up. If I don't, and Mitrovic is going to be out, I might just play Kurt Zouma over him, bench Mitrovic, and therefore shift to a 4-4-2. But it is nice to see that there's so many home fixtures for our FPL team this week. Home fixtures usually are better than away games, so therefore let's hope that this is better than Game Week 9 and we get 100 points. Let me know what your transfer plans are heading into the upcoming Game Week 10 deadline. Are there any kind of questions you guys do have? Comment them down below or ask me over on my Discord server. But this is basically up the video, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. Please like if you didn't subscribe if you're new, subscribe yet. Hopefully I do see you guys in the deadline stream 1 hour before the deadline on Saturday. But I'm signing off from Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers, bye.